Alrighty, so we are doing a push day workout today. Here's a quick overview of the workout. We're doing the flat bench, incline bench, shoulder press, and then a giant set at the end, which we will talk about once we get there. We use mostly dumbbells here today. I like to kind of switch up the barbells and the dumbbells on a regular basis and try to have most of the work I do with unilateral movements using dumbbells. I'm trying to avoid any muscle imbalances, which I'm prone to if I use too many barbells. I notice my right side tends to compensate quite a bit, especially since I'm recovering from a rotator cuff injury on the left side. So using dumbbells helps avoid any kind of imbalances, and it's also just safer and easier on the joints and the shoulders. It lets you rotate your wrists to put your body in a more natural position for pushing, and it keeps a lot of the stress on the shoulder to a minimum. So we escalated up. We did 2 warm-up sets and then 4 working sets. Shoot for about 8 to 12, really squeezing at the top of the movement. From here we moved over to the incline press. Now we're following the strength curve, so we are doing the harder stuff first and working our way into the easier stuff. Typically, people are going to lift lighter on the incline press, so that's a natural transition if you're following the strength curve, is to go from the flat to the incline. And that's exactly what we did. We were all warmed up, so we didn't need to do any more warm-up sets. We jumped right into our 3 working sets, again 8 to 12. And from there we popped bench up to about almost 90 degrees for the shoulder press. I'm really trying to emphasize the shoulders, so we did 4 sets here instead of 3, still shooting for about 8 to 12. And at this point, we're getting pretty fatigued with the shoulders, so it's about time to transition into some of the isolation movements. Like I said, following the strength curve, so we are going from harder to easier. And here's where we get to our giant set. Now this one is giant set first off is a cluster of exercises, usually at least 3 exercises, and in this case we're doing lateral raises, which you see now. We're going to be doing skull crushers next, followed by tricep kickbacks, followed by close grip push-ups on a medicine ball. So you notice that I'm squeezing at the bottom of the movement and really kind of flexing the delts so that they pop out. And I'm not just doing that, for the camera. I'm doing that as a mental trigger to make sure that I am activating the delts before I even start the movement. Really trying to focus tension on the deltoid and keep it there throughout the whole range of motion. So every time I drop the weight to the starting position again, I pause and then basically kind of reset, remind myself of what muscle I'm targeting and really focus on it. We jumped into skull crushers after that. I do mine at a little bit of an incline so I can keep an eye on the form in the mirror. And I also just feel it more in my tricep. As soon as we got done with that, we jumped into tricep kickbacks. The triceps were already pretty burnt out from the skull crushers, and then this light isolation movement is a really good one just for pumping blood into the muscle afterwards and trying to stretch up that muscle fascia as much as possible and just get as many nutrients packed into the muscle as we can. Now after this we did the close grip push-ups on the medicine ball, but the way I edited this, we're going to see some different angles of some of the other giant set exercises, just to give you a better idea of the form. But just so you know, it would be lateral raises, skull crushers, tricep kickbacks, and close grip push-ups. Boom, 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 no rest in between, straight through. Take about 60 seconds in between each giant set, but in between each exercise, no rest. Keep moving. So when Liz showed up, I got her to take some footage here of some different angles so you can really get a good idea of the form for some of these. Again, on the lateral raises, I'm really concentrating on activating the delts and squeezing the muscle throughout. So you can see me pausing at the bottom again, getting rid of any momentum, and just really reminding myself with that mental trigger to lift with the delts and squeeze throughout the entire range of motion. Then we've got skull crushers again here. Like I said, I do mine on a slight incline just because I feel it more. And I also bring the bar down to about my forehead, kind of right where the hair is on my head. Some guys will bring it back behind them. Some guys will bring it down more towards the center of their face. Play around with it and see where you feel the most burn in your triceps, because everybody's got their own biomechanics. And this is the angle that really works the best for me. I'm really squeezing at the top, making sure that we are going through the full range of motion and squeezing the muscle the entire time. Again, I'm using the tricep kickbacks just to pump more blood into the muscle. These types of movements, like tricep kickbacks and these little isolation movements where you're using lightweight, are great ancillary movements for the larger compound movements like skull crushers. In and of themselves, tricep kickbacks aren't going to do anything for you. You're not going to get stronger with those. You're not going to build any serious size or development with those. They're only there to facilitate pumping more blood into the muscle after the larger compound movement has really done the work and done the damage to the muscle. If you're short for time, just focus on the large compound movements. If you have the time, then start to incorporate some of the isolation movements. And that goes for if you're newer too. If you're brand new to lifting, don't even worry about the isolation stuff. Just do the bread and butter compound movements and really perfect those with good form. That's going to be the best use of your time. So finally we get to the last exercise in the giant set here, the close grip push-up on the medicine ball. Now this one, as you can see, I am shaken. This is tough for me at this point. I am burnt out, and it's an exercise I haven't done for months. I tend to forget about some of these simple, I shouldn't say simple, but basic body weight exercises. You know, most people do. They get into a gym full of equipment and they forget about the old school, just bread and butter movements like push-ups on the floor. It's always good to bring them back in, especially at the end of a workout, just to kind of make sure that you are fully taxed. And as you can see on the last set of these, I am struggling to even get close to 10 or 12. That's how you know you have done a successful push day and you are fully exhausted. So that pretty much wraps up the push day. All in all, about 45 minutes. It's pretty quick and dirty if you follow the routine at the pace that I suggest. About 60 seconds rest in between sets, and that's about it. Got a ton more workout videos coming soon, so go ahead and subscribe.